Hello again. It's Steph here from sunny but chilly Rock Hill with another village story for grown-ups. At the Village Storytelling Centre, we are passionate about cherishing people's real life stories. And this totally underpins my own work as a storyteller, sharing stories about my own life. I do this to connect with folk because I reckon if I've had a certain experience, then there's bound to be someone else out there who's had the same experience too. And at times in my life when things feel stressful, I'm reminded that there's a whole bunch of us out there in this together, that I'm not alone. So my story today is a story about a story, my own. There's still a lot about my life that I don't know, but I'd like to share my adventure so far with you. I'm really just starting out. My parents come from islands, oceans apart. I often look at maps of the world and trace the journey with my finger. The invisible line that connects the home that I know with the home that I don't. And see, when I look in the mirror, the same thing happens. I search for a trail, visible clues to show me who I am. I took the train to Edinburgh one day and headed straight there, the General Register Office for Scotland. A woman from Barnardo's had told me this was a good place to start. Even the train seemed to sense my apprehension because it stopped at every single station between Queen Street and Waverley, giving me extra time to breathe. It's such an imposing looking place. Grey, cold and cavernous. I mean, the sheer size of it just serves to remind you that you're nothing more than a mere mortal. It's the kind of building where you leave your soul at the front door and just instantly become a barcode. I found myself stuttering and stammering at the receptionist. I'm trying to trace my father. But she just smiled so kindly at me and called her colleague over, who was another lady with a kind smile, but quite a bit older than her. The type of kind old lady that you'd greet on the street on Christmas morning. Old lady shoes, old lady cardigan, old lady cologne. I recalled my conversation with the woman from Barnardo's. If he'd been married, divorced, or had registered a child, there'd be a record. The kind old lady put her arm around me and led me down a dark hallway. We squiddled through some narrow corridors until we came to a room lined with vast wooden shelves. It smelled like the past, papery and forgotten. The shelves were very neatly lined with orange cardboard files. I felt like one of those old baby dolls, you know, the ones that has the cord in the back of its head that you can pull and it will just repeat the same phrase again and again and again and again. I'm trying to trace my father. I only know his name, I just kept saying it. The kind old lady wrote it down on a piece of scrap paper. Well, I wouldn't imagine there'd be many of those in Scotland. If he's here, he won't be hard to find. And then she led me to a chair and sat me down and went off to look. And she was right. He wasn't hard to find. I mean, she was back in what seemed like just a few minutes with a small slide in her hand, and then we went over to a row of booths and sat down at one where a microfiche reader had been set up on a table. I felt a bit James Bond. Or was it the villain? Now, just be prepared, the kind old lady said. This can be emotional. And there he was, recorded on file. A real person, registered on a document, not just a handwritten name on a piece of scrap paper or a whisper or a secret. His date of birth, his old home address in Mauritius, my grandparents' address. And there were my grandparents, Wilfred and Therese. And then I read, married Jane Ramsey, 1979. Son, Michael James, born 1982. Divorced Jane Ramsey, 1989. I've got a wee brother. I've got a wee brother. And I grabbed that kind old lady and I hugged her. At 46, I cook my first chapati. I knead the dough with the palm of my hand, impatiently at first, and then I succumb to the pleasure of the rhythm. Have you ever tried to find yourself through food? And I don't mean by binging or gorging, I mean a discovery. My father cooked chapatis. Jane Ramsey prepared some Mauritian food for me to try. A fish rogai. Do you like cooking, Stephanie? Your dad always wanted to open his own restaurant in Glasgow. He should have. She tells the whole story while whizzing around her kitchen. Ugh, I always knew that something wasn't right. I should have followed my gut. He used to carry a photo of you, you know, a baby photo. But when I asked him, he said it was his niece. Ugh, you could have been a part of our family. My wee brother Michael is quiet, but happy to meet me. We stare at each other, comparing mouths, noses, stature. Oh, you've got the same big teeth, Jane Ramsey laughs. Back home, I cook the same dish. Salmon, thyme, tomato, ginger, garlic. The fish gently poaches. I place my face directly above the pot and I feel the steam warm my skin, and I close my eyes and I inhale deeply. My grandfather came to Mauritius from Kerala to work on the sugar plantations. My grandmother was Polynesian. She dried her washing on the rose bushes in her garden. My father won a scholarship to study medicine in the UK, and he opted for Scotland. And that's how he met my mother. But they broke up. My mum sent him a photo of me, my photo, the photo which Jane Ramsey saw. I open one eye. The fish looks ready. Jane Ramsey and her second husband move abroad. Over time, my wee brother and I lose touch. I never experience the warm reunion with my father that I dreamed of. But that craving eventually relents. Today, I dry my washing on the balcony railings. It's unsatisfying. I'm going to Google search houses for rent with a private garden and big rose bushes. And that is the end of that for now. I hoped you enjoyed hearing part 1 of my story. We've all got stories in us. Please feel free to contact us on Twitter or Facebook if you've got anything to share or feedback. We'll be back next week with more stories for young and old. Take care. Bye-bye.